Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video we have a look at some of the flora that can be seen on the walk out to Mount Jaithmathang. That particular walk you can see on the last video I did on this channel. And here we are walking towards Tawonga huts through a subalpine woodland, the main species being Eucalyptus passiflora subspecies Niphophila, the alpine snow gum. Within the understory we have the white flowered Prostanthera cuneata, the alpine mint bush, and Acacia alpina, the alpine wattle, and a few other different species. So I hope you come along and have a look at this. We'll have a look at some really rare plants that can be found in the Victorian high country. It should be a good one, so stick around and check it out, and I'll talk to you a bit later. Here we have the alpine mint bush, Prostanthera cuneata, which I just mentioned before. It's a lovely compact dense shrub growing to about 1 metre tall. It's usually found in closed heathlands and shrublands, and obviously in Eucalyptus passiflora subalpine woodlands between the altitude of 1500 and 2000 metres. It's found in Victoria and New South Wales. It has those lovely white flowers with those purple and yellow markings inside, and the leaves are highly scented when crushed. Very aromatic, and it's a lovely plant to see in flower. This is Brachycomb nivalis, a snow daisy. It's a delightful little clumping herb. The leaves are mainly found in basal clusters, oblong in outline and up to 15 centimetres long and 20 millimetres wide, normally in 1 to 2 or 3 pinaxect segments or more. This just means that they are heavily divided. There's usually one peduncle per tuft of leaves, terminating in a lovely white flower with ligules 10 to 15 mils in length. It's normally flowering between November and May, and it's locally common on the Bogon High Plains, usually in grassland, herb fields or snow gum woodland communities. This is the classic and the beautiful alpine snow gum, Eucalyptus passiflora subspecies Niphophila. It's normally a mallee or small tree, which normally branches near the base. Can get up to 7 metres tall, usually shorter in more exposed locations. It is only found at the upper altitudinal limit for tree growth on the Bogon High Plains, particularly around Mount Hotham, Mount Bogon, Mount Wellington, Mount Torbrick and other places. An outstanding specimen, usually seen in contorted examples and with differing colours from greys to reds to oranges to yellows on the bark. Certainly a plant to look out for when in the high country, and one that I always look out for and admire every time. An absolute cracker of an alpine plant is Herpolarion novaezelandii, also known as the sky lily. It forms turf-like mats which can be up to 2 metres wide. I have seen them probably 10 by 10 metres or more, so obviously quite a few plants spread out together. The leaves are tufted and look a bit like a grass and somewhat glaucous in colour. The flowers are single, subsessile, which means they're basically flat on the ground and usually coming in the colour of white to pale blue, as you can see in these photos. This is an outstanding ground cover, and it's very cryptic when it's not in flower. It's very hard to see because the leaves do look like just like a grass. It can be found in moist peaty herbfield and grasslands above 1200 metres throughout the alpine areas in Victoria, New South Wales, Tasmania, and also across in New Zealand. Another showy species is Pimelia ligustrina, subspecies ciliata. This plant can get up to 1.5 meters tall, normally lower in exposed areas. It's normally found in alpine or subalpine areas over 1400 meters and usually in a snow gum woodland situation. I have seen it in more rocky open places as well. It has quite beautiful reddish or purplish involucral bracts which contrast nicely with the white flowers. This can be seen flowering between December and March. It's found in the alpine areas of Victoria, New South Wales and the Australian Capital Territory. Epicris glacialis is a prostrate to decumbent shrub, getting to about 30 centimetres in height. It has small leaves that are rhomboid to obovate in outline, suberect from the branches. It puts on quite a show between December and February when the small white flowers are in abundance. This can be found in the alpine areas of Victoria and New South Wales. In Victoria, it's restricted to the Bogong High Plains, sometimes quite abundant. It's found around the margins of subalpine and alpine bogs, along creeks, through moss beds, and in gravel soaks. When flowering, this is quite a lovely species to see. An interesting plant from the Proteaceae family is Orytes lancifolius. It's a stiff, erect to spreading bushy shrub, can get to 2 meters tall, but in exposed situations it's much lower, normally only a meter or less. It has leaves that are crowded, oblong to oblong lanceolate, and up to 4 centimeters in length and 10 millimeters wide. Flowering spikes are mostly terminal, with flowers that are sessile and in pairs. They are creamy white in colour and can be seen flowering between November and January. This is a widespread and common plant seen in subalpine heathland and alpine heathland and also woodlands in the Victorian Alps. The alpine Stackhausia pulvinaris, is a pretty little perennial mat-forming plant. It only gets to about 3 centimetres high and up to 20 centimetres in diameter, but it can be seen in groups up to about 3 metres in diameter, so quite showy when in full flower. It has short leaves, 4 to 11 mils long and 1 to 1.5 mil wide. They are obtuse, thickish and usually yellowish green in colour. The flowers are solitary, subsessile in the uppermost leaf axil and fragrant, and they are a pale yellow colour. They can be seen flowering between November and January and is found in the Victorian Alps, New South Wales and Tasmania. It occurs in alpine herb fields and subalpine grasslands and quite often in small depressions that are normally inundated following snowmelt. This is one of the trigger plants, Stylidium armeria, subspecies armeria. The leaves can be 8 to 40 centimetres in length and up to 15 millimetres wide. It has an inflorescence that can be 8 to 75 centimetres in length with 15 to 100 flowers, so quite a variable plant. The flowers are normally deep pink to magenta. Occasionally there can be white or a pale pink. This can be seen flowering between August and February. It is quite widespread across Victoria, but in the subalpine areas it's normally found in snow gum woodlands, and it is very pretty when it's in flower. Goodenia hederaceae, subspecies alpestris, is a lovely ground cover that can form extensive mats. The stems are prostrate and they usually root at the nodes. The leaves are broad ovate to orbicular, 1 to 3 centimetres long by 5 to 25 millimetres wide. The flowers are yellow and can be seen during November to April. It is found in drier subalpine grasslands and snow gum woodlands in the Victorian High Country and also New South Wales and the ACT. Simply put, Salmisia costiniana is a beautiful species. It has a woody rootstock which is branching, creeping and rooting, so it starts to form carpets. The leaves are narrowly oblanceolate to narrowly elliptic or linear, 4 to 18 centimetres long, 2 to 8 mm wide, so they can be quite variable. Green to grey-green above, silvery shining underneath. The flowering scape is 8 to 30 centimetres tall, ending in a capitulum which is 3 to 5 centimetres in diameter with white ligules. This can be seen flowering between December and February in the Victorian High Country. It is locally common in alpine and higher subalpine tracts and can be dominant in tall alpine herbfield, forming extensive carpets. It's also found in open heaths, herbfields and grasslands. It is certainly a sight to see when this is flowering, as it looks like a sea of white flowers. Argyrotegium mackayii, also known as the silver cudweed. Now that's not a very inspiring name, is it? But that aside, it's a lovely mat forming perennial, probably only getting to about 7 centimetres tall. Leaves mostly basal, crowded toward the branch tips, spathulate or oblanceolate, 6 to 15 mm in length and 1.5 to 5 mm in width. And both surfaces are very silvery due to the cottony hairs. The inflorescence is a terminal capitulum and it is straw coloured and flowering between December and January, and the flowering stem normally gets to about, well, it can go from 0 to 3 centimetres high and sometimes 5 to 10, but that's more rare. This lovely little mat forming plant can be found in the Victorian Alps and also New South Wales and ACT and Tasmania. But in Victoria it's mainly from Mount Jaithmathamg and the Bogong High Plains, where it can be found colonising bare ground occasionally and also in grassland communities. It's a delightful little mat forming plant which probably should be better well known. Asaphila glacialis is an interesting sprawling herb. It gets 30 to 70 centimetres high, particularly that 70 centimetre mark when it's flowering. The leaves are leathery and crowded at the plant base. They are 2 to 3 pinnate and fan-like. The lamina is ovate or elliptic in outline, 13 to 28 centimetres long. The leaf segments are linear, 20 to 40 mm in length. The male inflorescence is slender and spreading, and the female is more robust and contracted with a thicker peduncle. The inflorescence has 7 to 16 umbellules per compound umbel, with each individual flower only being 2.5 to 3 mm in diameter. They flower during December into January, and it can be found in the Victorian Alps and New South Wales. It is locally common in tussock grassland and tall herbfield, and it is quite a beautiful plant. Euartia is a small genus of plants found in Australia and New Zealand. There is 4 species in Australia and 1 in New Zealand, with the 4 in Australia, 3 endemic to Tasmania and 1 endemic to southeastern Australia. They are all alpine plants, usually of a mat forming habitat. This one is Euartia nubigena, also known as silver Euartia. It's a silvery mat forming plant to about 50 centimetres in diameter or more. It has sessile leaves, obovate to oblanceolate, usually about 4 to 7 mm long and 1 to 2 mm wide. The flower head is 4 to 8 millimetres in diameter, and it's flowering between January and March. This beautiful plant can be seen in Victoria and also New South Wales in the alpine areas, and usually confined to the higher parts on the Bogong High Plains in Victoria. Without doubt, this is one of my all-time favourite alpine plants. that can be found in Australia. It is simply fantastic to see. Well guys, that's about it for this video. As always, I do really appreciate your support, so please feel free to leave a like, comment and even subscribe, and that way you will keep up to date with all the latest happenings on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Cheers.